pues vamos a ir de aquí arriba para abajo, ¿vale? Pero si me dejáis un momentito, ahora vuelvo, ¿vale? Voy un momento a la cocina. Vale, ya estamos. He ido a por algo de picoteo. Y de ver. Vale, torre de astronomía. Vamos a ver qué encontramos por aquí.
Shh, listen. Do you hear them? The stars. They're whispering. So quiet, and yet so loud.
What are they whispering about? Are they spreading rumors about us?
I shouldn't think they concern themselves with such insignificance. We are but specks of dust, you and I.
Mm-hmm. Could this speck of dust start by telling me his name?
You find yourself standing in the astronomy tower of one Professor Percival Pointer.
Seems like this tower belongs to the Pointers, and the other one belongs to the Fellows.
Well observed, my dear. Tangle Tower is something of a duality as it happens. Meaningless boundaries, really. They exist only in our minds.
Helpful.
A ver qué me cuenta sobre él.
Me? Not much to say. Strictly speaking, I'm the current head of the Pointer family. And of course, father to my precious Poppy.
And a professional astronomer?
Oh no, that's just a little hobby. I mean, yes, I've studied the stars for over 35 years, published 17 books.
Just a little hobby.
Sounds like you're quite well known. You must bring in a good amount of money.
Oh dear me, no. My field of research has never yielded any kind of stable financial return, nor would I expect it to. I am nothing but a humble interpreter for the cosmos, working to translate its message so that I may share it with the world.
Cool. Tell the cosmos I say hi.
The day began as any other, with blissful, unremarkable routine. I took my usual morning walk around the gardens. Fresh air does wonders for the mind.
Did you see anyone else?
Penelope and Fitz were in the greenhouse together. I didn't bother them, of course. I sat for a while besides the pond in the garden. It's a favorite spot of mine. Eventually, I returned to my tower and buried myself in my studies for the afternoon.
Did you use your telescope yesterday?
Once the stars began to appear, naturally.
For how long?
I can't say. I've been known to lose hours at my telescope.
Joder,
Did you see
ya son
anything?
ganas.
No actual discoveries, if that's what you mean.
So you were all alone up in the astronomy tower. Must have been a while before you found out what had happened to Freya.
Quite. Normally, I would be the last to find out about such a thing. But a curious tug of fate led me towards the fellow tower later that evening. I was at my telescope for the majority of the evening, but at one point I returned to my desk to look something up in a reference book. I couldn't find the book I wanted, so I figured Fiona must have borrowed it. I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall. I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library. She looked impatient and slightly frustrated.
Same as ever then?
Quite. I passed her by and went upstairs to Fiona's room. The door was locked, but I could hear shouting coming from inside. I recognized Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter. I had no desire to invade their privacy by eavesdropping, so I waited for them to finish and come out into the hall. Before I could ask about the book, Poppy grabbed my hand and took me upstairs along with Fiona. It was apparent that both of them had already been crying about something. We went up to Flora's tower. Freya was laying on her back, right in the middle of the room. Flora and Fitz were already there. They both looked stoic as ever. Felix and Penny arrived shortly after we did, and then Fiona went downstairs with Poppy for some reason. I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
Why did you leave so quickly? Wasn't there anything you could have done to help?
Don't take this the wrong way, but the whole ordeal is fellow family business. I'm quite sure they don't need me getting in the way at a time like that.
Más o menos, y viéndolo, todo coincide, ¿no?
It's full of tea, but it's gone cold.
Criminal.
A picture frame.
With no picture.
It's tidier than my desk. The notebook is untouched. It's completely blank.
So, even the most well-used notebooks start off blank.
It's a chart of the solar system. Which planet are you from, Sally? It's too cloudy to see any stars right now.
It's also daytime.
Every astronomy tower needs a telescope.
I want to try.
You can see right into Flora's room.
O sea que desde ahí pudo estar viendo, ¿no? Lo que pasó.
Not by accident.
I can see Flora, but she's not looking this way. She's looking up. Behind her is the back side of the easel holding Freya's unfinished painting. I can't really see anything behind it. Not from this angle. I can see the doorway. It leads into the hall. The door itself is on the floor, knocked off its hinges.
It's that little plant Flora keeps on the window ledge.
Don't you think it would fall off? In the wind.
Maybe it's glued down.
I can just about see the gramophone.
It's too dark back there. I can't really see anything. Is that a window?
I think it is.
Is there another room above Flora?
We should check that next time we're over there.
It's too dark back there. I can't.
You can see right into Flora's room.
Not by accident.
I can see behind her. I can't really see.
Vale.
Isn't this supposed to be an astronomy telescope? I'm pretty sure you need to see the sky for astronomy to work.
I can't move it. I think this is just how it's set up.
Puta que mira directamente para
It's
allá.
too cloudy to see any stars right
It's
now.
also daytime. Pretty. You know, I've always wanted one of those.
A mechanical solar system?
I would look at it.
Wait a minute. Earth in the middle, sun on the outside. How old is this thing?
Mira los 5 planetas, el Sol y la Luna, en torno al centro. Pero... Coño, que hay otro planeta aquí debajo. Joder, lo he clavado, ¿eh?
That's the one.
Hey, not bad. Did you hear that?
There's a little hatch underneath? What's in there?
A bunch of paper. Looks like somebody's research.
Escarabajo dorado. Varias notas y diagramas de una investigación. 4. El escarabajo dorado, llamado así por su exoesqueleto compuesto por un mineral idéntico al oro en un 90% aproximadamente, vive varios años. Se defiende de los depredadores con un fuerte silbido. Se han registrado más de 95 decibelios y por ser totalmente indigerible. Este místido tiene la reputación un tanto espuria de traer mala suerte a quienes lo ven.
Trinkets.
They're clearly gizmos.
A spyglass to the stars. Volumes 1 to 12.
They're in very good condition.
Vamos aquí arriba a ver qué es lo que hay, ya que lo hemos descubierto luego. Ático. Joder, qué miedo.
It's a statue of a wolf, standing up straight, like a man.
You know, there's a name for that.
I know.
It's not quite as dusty as everything else up here. Also, it's not a statue. It's stuffed. What's in that little box? I bet it's bones. A skull, at least.
You know, maybe I won't open it. Just dusty junk. Just dusty junk. What is that?
Not sure. Some kind of reel?
Looks like it might attach to something.
Un carrete de latón con un tornillo en la parte superior. Enrollado en el carrete hay un trozo de cuerda floja y fina.
Where's that light coming from?
No, it's just daylight, I think. There's a decent gap between those floorboards. Is that what I think it is? Is that what I think it is? Is that what I think it is?
Where's that light coming
No,
from?
it's just there's a decent gap between those.
At least the moths are kept well fed. Someone painted out the window.
Do you think it was done recently?
No idea. Either way, it's pretty suspicious.
Tiene pinta, ¿no? Como que han usado el carrete ese. Posiblemente atado un cuchillo para apuñalar a Flora, ¿no? Creo que era. Por lo menos tenido la pinta.
It's a jar. The head's
Just dusty junk. Sally, you don't have a dust allergy, do you?
No. Do you?
Put it this way.
Vale, vamos aquí a ver.
Oh, just beautiful. What is it?
Huh?
Sort of a delicate jade, but with a little seafoam green, is that right?
Sorry?
Your hair, dear! Which shade do you use? It's lovely! And that shape, you're really pushing the envelope.
Oh, thanks. I do what I can to offset Grimoire's beige on brown ensemble.
Detectives don't need to be brightly colored. We prefer to blend into the background.
Oh, you're the detective? Delightful. Penny Pointer, pleasure.
Is that short for Penelope?
Officially, yes, but I never can be bothered with all 4 syllables of it. Penelope sounds a little ostentatious coming out of the mouth, don't you think?
Sure. Yeah.
20-something, Aquarius, love to travel, and nearly all of my friends are birds.
Travel? Where to?
Anywhere at all, as long as it has species worth studying. Ornithology, they call it. I call it the only thing I've ever been good at.
And have you studied the birds here at Tangle Tower?
But of course! Where else do you think I developed my love of the field? No matter where I go, I always find myself coming home to Tangle Tower.
Because of the birds.
Oh, no, because of him! Silly to admit, but I suppose I can't bear for us to be apart.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, don't you know? My fiancé, dear Fitz. He's not really the traveling type, you see.
Fitz fellow.
The very one.
You're engaged to a member of the Fellow family? That's interesting.
I'm not especially interested in whatever tedious feuding goes on between our two families. Fitz and I find it much easier to stay out of it altogether. I awoke early and headed down into the greenhouse to see Fitz. He's always there, crack of dawn, every morning like clockwork.
How come?
It's where he's happiest. That, and he has a great deal of work to do every day, watering, pruning, mulching, whatever that is.
Do you help him with the work in the greenhouse?
Oh, no. I wouldn't dream of it. I'd probably break something.
So, you stayed with Fitz the whole day?
No. In the early afternoon, he went back inside. Rather suddenly, as it happens.
Did he say why?
He didn't. Probably just a touch of heat stroke, the poor dear. He's more delicate than you'd think.
What did you do after that?
Let's see. I returned to the aviary to feed my birds.
And how many birds are you responsible for?
Officially 4, but in truth it's more like 400.
Can they not feed themselves?
Of course, and they often do. But I think they just like the company. As do I.
A ver la declaración que dice.
Sometime in the evening, I left the aviary and headed back towards my room. But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs. He was muttering something. Seemed a bit upset, the poor dear. I followed him down, but the grand hall was empty by the time I got there. Empty aside from Detective Hawkshaw, who was loitering over by the library. I don't know what it was, but she looked a little lost. I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the Fellow Tower. I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path. For some reason, he was coming out of Fitz's bedroom. He looked rather lost, too. I told him I was looking for Uncle. He suggested we look up in Flora's tower room. We could see from the hallway. The door was off its hinges. I knew then something was terribly wrong. A moment later, we were gazing down on the body of poor Freya. Uncle Pointer was there. Fitz, too, standing over in the corner with Fifi and Poppy.
What about Flora?
Of course, silent as ever. Uncle suggested we should leave. Give the others some space, you know. So he and I both returned to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
Dios, qué cara de amargada tiene ahí.
We can get into Penny's room now.
Now, like, right now?
A ver qué hay por aquí.
Especially fancy cage.
And it's home to 3 especially fancy birds.
Tres pájaros de colores vivos en una pesada y ornamentada jaula. Están ahí los pobres.
What's with those little windows down there?
I think they're there for draining rainwater.
Oh. I feel like I'm standing in a giant bird cage. Bird diagrams. Hand-painted.
They're beautiful. Someone really knows their stuff.
Bird diagrams.
They're beautiful.
My little writing desk.
There's nothing written in the book, although someone's torn a page out of the middle.
Does this count as being outdoors?
Yeah. No. Doesn't matter. I don't like mirrors. They steal your soul.
How do you get your hair so symmetrical without using...
I do by weight. I can feel if one side is heavier than the other. They're bird cages, but the birds are coming and going.
Is that a metaphor?
Oh, it totally is. Check out that butterfly.
Looks evil.
Wow, judgmental.
A ver, es que es verdad. Parece mala, ¿no? De una mala mirada, algo así.
A rather magnificent bush. Somewhat cruel.
There's a letter P carved into the side.
I feel like I'm standing in a giant bird cage.
Bueno, vayamos a su habitación a ver si encontramos algo.
That's some flower.
There's something weird about it. It just feels out of place.
Una flor de vivos colores, con una forma inusual. Se la ve muy sana y bien cuidada. La tierra de la maceta parece fresca y húmeda. También es de un color azul inusual.
Looks like nature invited itself in. Rude.
It's a birdhouse.
Are those real birds? Nope. They're wooden.
They're using up all the perches. What if a real bird wanted to use it?
Cambia la posición de los 7 pájaros. No entiendo el patrón que pueden seguir.
Got it.
I'm impressed. Did the door open? What's in there?
Un trozo de papel arrancado y hecho una bola. En su interior había pétalos de flores rojas. El papel tiene garabateado un mensaje airado. Ahora iré a por ella.
A little bedtime reading?
Let's see. Romance novels and...
What?
This one appears to be both.
Nice.
A little tea set. Looks recently used.
One of the cups has tea in it.
What's in the other one?
Birdseed.
Traveling cases.
Empty. All of them.
That bed. It's like something from a fairy tale.
Does it feel warm over here?
No, you're right. Maybe the bed has some kind of...
It's not coming from the bed. It's coming from the...
That bed. It's like something...
Does it...
No.
It's not coming from the bed.
Looks like nature and... Rude.
Oh, Dios.
Are you ghost.
Sally! That's rude!
Unless she is a ghost.
It may come as a disappointment, but I am alive.
Ah,
That makes you a suspect, I'm afraid.
I know.
what's your name?
My name is Poppy. I'm a pointer. And a pianist.
We'll need to ask you a few questions about Freya.
I know.
Hey, you're pretty good.
All in the wrist. And 13 years of dedicated practice.
Puede ser que esta Poppy le grabase la música, ¿no?
Does this belong to you, Poppy?
Ah, hostia, que puedo dar cosas.
Now
Su
that's
puta
not
madre.
really my style, is it?
But who else would own a tape like this?
Literally anybody? I'm just me. There's nothing to know.
How are you related to the other pointers?
My father is Percival Pointer. The professor spends most of his time hidden away in his tower. Barely speaks to anyone these days. Especially not the fellows.
Do you get on with the fellows?
2 of them. Fifi and Freya are my closest friends. We all turned 19 last year.
Do people ever leave Tangle Tower? I don't mean to be rude. It's just, if you're 19...
You don't have to answer that, Poppy.
It's a fair question. I'd like to move away. Definitely. Fifi, Freya, and I would often talk about it, argue about it. Freya wanted to leave, but Fifi... Things are more complicated for her.
What about now?
Momentito, gente.
After what happened, I really don't want to stay here much longer. 3.5 hours of piano practice, soon as I wake up. Same as always.
3.5. Does that not hurt your hands?
Sure.
And you do this in the music room?
No, I prefer to practice in my room. When I make mistakes, I like to make them in private.
What did you do after that?
I was supposed to meet Fifi in the library, but I totally forgot. When I finally got down there, she'd already gone. I checked her bedroom, but it was locked.
Was Fifi not in there?
No idea. She keeps her door locked either way. So I went back upstairs and out into the moonlight garden.
The what?
The little garden on the roof outside my room.
Was it just you up there?
No. Fitz came outside after a while. His room's on the other side. He's been teaching me about flowers.
So, did you talk to him?
Not really.
You ignored each other.
I didn't say that. Fitz and I were up in the moonlight garden most of the afternoon. Then we heard this sound. Lasted about 3 seconds. I've been trying to decide how to describe it, but I'm struggling. It was like something drilling into a piece of metal, but different. Worse. I was pretty sure it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there to check. Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. I knew Freya and Flora were both supposed to be in there, so I made Fitz kick down the door. I went inside. Freya was lying on the floor.
Flora was in the room too?
Yeah. I think she realized what had happened at the same moment I did. I didn't know what to do, so I ran downstairs to get Fifi. Her door was still locked, but I knocked and shouted at her. Eventually, she let me in. The lights were off, but I could see she'd already been crying. I told her what had happened. She didn't believe me. She got angry. First time I've ever seen her angry. I dragged her out into the hall. My father was there too, for some reason. The 3 of us went back up to Flora's tower. Then Felix arrived. He had Penny with him. Fifi had this idea. She wanted to do some kind of scientific test. She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15 minutes. After she was done, she went back upstairs and I went back to my room.
That's it?
That's it. This is mine.
Really?
No, well, yes, it was. I gave it to Freya about a year ago.
What was on it?
Nothing. It was blank. Freya said she wanted to record something.
Any idea how it ended up underwater?
Maybe someone wanted to destroy it, but got really lazy.
What do you make of the statue?
I know that's the only harp in the whole of Tangle Tower. I've never actually seen a real one.
Maybe it's from before your time.
Oh, definitely. You see how old this statue is?
What about the symbols? One of them looks like piano keys.
Yeah, weird.
So there are two families living in Tangle Tower?
Mm-hmm. 3 pointers and 5 fellows. 4 fellows.
What's the connection between them?
There isn't one. Not really. It was all built by the Remington family. Flora's a Remington, originally. So was Primrose, my mother. She married into the Pointers, and Flora married into the Fellows.
So the fellows and the pointers own the house now?
Flora owns the house. Depending on who you ask, that means her husband Felix owns it too.
What about your father?
His claim over the house kind of fell apart after my mother left.
Where's your mother now?
No idea.
Vale, o sea que le puedo ir preguntando de las cosas.
There's something I noticed about Freya's knife wound.
Hit me.
From what we could tell, the blade went in at an exact right angle, perpendicular to Freya's body. And there's only one small pool of blood. Nothing on Freya's hands, or anywhere else. The whole thing is just a little too peaceful. Don't you think that's weird? That the letter isn't addressed to anyone, or signed by anyone?
Someone's being deliberately secretive.
Or they're trying to manipulate you. When I first saw it, I thought it looked like Flora was holding a knife, with blood on the tip.
You don't think that anymore?
No, it was a stupid thing to say. The room was dark. I was in shock. I'm just an idiot.
But it was blood on the tip. If you hadn't said anything, maybe Fifi wouldn't have checked.
Exactly. It's stupid.
But we would have missed out on an important clue.
Is it a clue? Really? Tell me how it's a clue. Tell me how it helps. Nothing about the knife makes any sense. It's just
Ahora que me doy cuenta, creo que no es un cuchillo, va a ser una pluma del ave esa rara.
It was my mother's originally.
So, why is it up in Flora's room?
She just gets the most use out of it. Freya would borrow it too sometimes. Freya would always load up the palette with all the exact colors she was gonna need. I think it helped her zone out and focus on the actual painting itself. Like getting all your sheet music lined up before playing a long piece.
Right. So the blob of black paint in the middle, that was for painting Flora?
Flora's dress, yeah. She wears even more black than I do. Why is the glass cracked down one side?
Natural wear and tear, maybe?
No way. Freya took good care of her stuff. What was inside?
Nothing.
Huh. Is that supposed to be Flora?
Possibly?
Oh. How nice. Whose paints are those?
They belong to Felix, I think.
I think everybody sees something different.
Did Freya ever tell you what she saw in it?
Not exactly. She said something about it being from a recurring nightmare.
Sorry, but if it was from a nightmare, why would you paint it and leave it in front of your bed?
Maybe she wanted to take control of it. Giving something a physical form can make it easier to deal with. Well, sometimes.
This is a photo of Fifi and Freya, right?
Yeah,
How come you're not in it? You're friends with them too, aren't you?
I'm not really one for photographs.
Fifi looks like she really admires Freya.
Fifi's loyalty to Freya is unshakable. Hey, that's me. Not a bad likeness.
It looks like you're standing in a rose bush.
Is there something wrong with that? Is that Fifi's diary? I'm sure I've seen it in her room before.
That's where we found it.
Have you ever read it? Do you know what's written in there?
Nope. I'm sure she wouldn't appreciate me invading her privacy.
I thought you and Fifi were close friends.
Yeah, we are. It's just Fifi's gotten kinda impatient with me recently.
Do you know why?
I'm not sure.
I'm sure she'd tell you if you asked.
Oh, she would. She'd give it to me straight. Probably why I've been avoiding it. That belongs to Flora, I think. You get some weird insects around here, but I've never seen one like that.
I'm not sure anyone has.
Freya might have. She used to keep beetles in a box in her room.
Why?
For fun, obviously. Where did you find this?
It was in the attic.
Oh, huh. I forgot we even had an attic. I think it's kinda cruel to keep 3 birds in one cage like that.
Does Penny not let them out to fly?
Oh, she does. She must do. But I don't think they're allowed to go far. Penny can be a little protective. Never seen that one before. Was it in the greenhouse?
No. We found it in Penny's room.
Right. Those petals.
What about them?
It's nothing. They're just unusual. Needless noise from tongues expel, unless within the mouth they dwell. The spoken word, unfit for dealing with the shifting form of feeling. Stand unblinking in the face of taciturn and soundless space. Foregone drifter, holding fast, days as shadow seeker past. Is it bravery or surrender, accepting that your world will render nothing darker than the gloom some 4 walls make round a room? Between the lips a silver spoon, a story written all too soon. The chosen dwelling of her heart, unjustly chosen to depart. Lost her liberation lays in the center of a maze. Eavesdrop what the stars are saying, earthly tether slowly fraying, floating helpless from the worst of jealous hunger, selfish thirst. Take a moment, kneel and meet the flowers growing at your feet. Feathers flashing in the light from a sunbeam gleaming bright. I shield my eyes and turn my head, but all at once I've been misled. Light is shining on the stage, but through the railings of a cage. That's me. I'm on a list of murder suspects. Always thought that would be kinda cool, but it's just tedious.
Falls a little short, doesn't it?
Hard of head, but free of mind. Unimprisoned, unconfined. With starry eyes, she sees beyond. Behind our walls, beneath our pond. A soul untied, it's hers, it's free. Was then, is now, will ever be.
Tengo que preguntar ahora a todos por todo. Vale. Esta le pregunta por todo.
All right. Poppy's
I wonder
bedroom.
what's in there. Are they paper lanterns?
Whatever they are, I'll like a little parade of floating spirits.
Oh, whatever it is, it's playing a little trumpet.
Well, it is the music room. It's gotta practice.
What's with all the broken glass?
Una estatua brillante de una extraña criatura que sostiene una gran bocina. Hay una apreciable grieta que recorre toda la bocina de la estatua. Dentro de la bocina y por debajo en el suelo hay fragmentos de cristales rotos.
There's a faded mural on the wall.
When I was a kid, I never knew the difference between a mural and a...
You still don't know, do you?
No.
1 old wooden bookcase.
Yep.
25 dry old books.
Mm-hmm.
4 lit...
Yeah.
Am I the only one seeing the problem? It's one of those big...
Don't touch it.
Why not?
Might be haunted.
Sheet music. It's handwritten.
That's a lot of notes. Looks pretty.
Probably while they're on the floor. Who plays the violin, I wonder?
It's pretty dusty, so I'm guessing nobody. It's a globe.
For globing.